Hello again from my front porch. Well, obviously, I'm not on my front porch. I'm actually in a hotel room in Alachua, Florida. We'll get back to that. But this is going to be a little different episode, not just because of where I'm at, but because I'm recording it now, but I'm not going to post it until later. And you're going to find out here in a little bit why that's the case. But the star attraction of this episode is this little box right here, this little box right here. And I have a little story to tell you about my experience yesterday getting this box here, and a little bit of a check for old Paul to be mindful of, but also some kudos that I want to throw out as well. See, now today is my granddaughter's birthday, 1 year old, yay! And so I wanted to be here, obviously, for this event. I also acquired some items, some gifts to give her for this event. Not a lot, because my daughter and son-in-law, they have a nice apartment condo kind of place, but I mean it's not unlimited space, so you got to be mindful of stuff that they actually have room for and that kind of thing. But still, wanted her to have some gifts, and I found a really cool gift, a larger size gift, and I was like, I looked into shipping it down here, actually sending it from FedEx. You see, I got this FedEx box. You can see behind the little label that I made here. I made the Fragile label and put that on all four sides of this box. But I checked with FedEx about what it would cost just to ship it, even ground, even not, like a while back, and it was hundreds of dollars. And I was like, whoa, wow, okay, no. And then I was like, you know what? I'll just put all the stuff I've got, and I got stuff for my granddaughter. I also have some things for Ashley, and I have some things for Josh. And I thought, I'll just put it all in a box, and then I'll check the box when I fly down. I'll check it as one of my checked bags, which with my status, I get free checked bags. So, hey, why not? And so that was the plan. And then when I measured, especially the larger item, and discovered the size of box I was going to need, turned out it was going to need to be this big of a box. Okay, so I was able to put this in there, got lots of bubble wrapping and packing paper and all that stuff. Packed this thing just really well with the large item and with all the other smaller items that I got as well. But in the course of doing that, I overlooked one thing. Got everything in the box, sealed it all up fine. I hadn't considered transporting it to the airport. Morning came, yesterday morning. I needed to be leaving the house by 5:30 a.m. to have a reasonable amount of time to make it to the airport and check the bag and all that kind of stuff. My bestie, Tara, showed up to take me. Thank you, Tara, so much for that. She really was a lifesaver to be able to do that because, I could have tried to get an Uber, but they're a little sketchy in their reliability, especially that early in the morning. But, in hindsight, maybe I should have tried to get an Uber with a hatchback, because this box would not fit in her car. Well, I was certain it would fit in my car, because I was sure that because I got a box like this. You may recall when I got all those Squishmallows for Sophia a couple of years ago for Christmas. Well, then I was certain I'd put this box in my car, this same size box. But try as we might, we just simply could not get it into my car either. And I do not know why not. I don't know why it would not fit into my car, because I was sure, again, that I'd done that. But it was not going to go. And so Tara suggested that maybe we just unpack everything out of the box and collapse the box and then reassemble it all at the airport. And I was losing it at this point. I was freaking out. I was getting very stressed. I was having meltdown. Now, that doesn't happen to me hardly at all, but it was happening to me this time because this was a big deal. This is my granddaughter's first birthday. I wanted to be there. I wanted the things that I bought to be there. It was all supposed to be so special. And because I had screwed up, I had not considered the dimensions of this box and how I was going to get it to the airport. I was the reason the whole plan was falling apart. And now by this point, it's already 6 a.m., half an hour after I was supposed to be leaving to go to the airport. And my plane is going to begin boarding in like 25 minutes. And I'm like, oh man, it's supposed to be departing around 7 a.m. So we open the box up, throw everything in her back seat, collapse the box, squeeze it in. She rushes me to the airport. Now, the problem is by the time we got to the airport, literally my plane started boarding. When we pulled up to the curb at the airport, my plane had started boarding. Now, I got out of the car and we brought the tape along and very quickly reassembled the box, put stuff back in as best I could. It was not packed as well, but still put it all back in, packed it back in, sealed it off, and took it in. But of course, if you know anything about flying, you know that checked bags need to be checked by law. They need to be checked about 40 minutes prior to the departure of the flight. Well, at this point, I am within that time, and so they're like, your bags can't be checked to go on the plane. And I'm like, oh, well, is there another plane later today that you could check it on? I'm okay if it goes on a different flight to me. No, there are no other planes going to Gainesville, Florida that I was flying into. The best they could do was to roll over my reservation to Saturday, the next day, which is now today, and the same footprint of travel, but that would get me into Gainesville at about 3:30 or so, which would make me about, even landing, half an hour late for my granddaughter's birthday party. And I was not wanting to do that. I mean, I even got a t-shirt, look, for my granddaughter's party. See, you can't tell me what to do. You're not my granddaughter. So this is big doings, okay? And I was standing there at the counter, and I was not one of those whiny, complaining, demanding, because my God, you're gonna. No, but my meltdown was continuing. And I am so grateful that my bestie Tara was there, because now she can have her own times where she has issues and I support her. But this time she was there for me, and I appreciate that. She was a very calming influence, and she kept saying something that my mom used to say all the time. She kept saying, she'd put her hand on my shoulder and she would say, "It's going to work out. It's going to work out." Now, my mom would always say that, and we'd roll our eyes sometimes, and be like, "How is this going to work out?" And that's what I did this time too. I was like, "How?" I mean, literally, I've got my hands on. I'm laying my head on the counter at the baggage check, and I am almost in tears. I may have actually had some tears, and I am just feeling so defeated and so deflated, and kicking myself massively for such poor planning. And as I'm standing there, feeling like my world is just crushing in around me, I get a text message on my phone, which is laying right there. I'm like this, and my phone is laying right there. I get a text message telling me my flight has been delayed half an hour. The flight leaving from Des Moines has been delayed half an hour. Well, I don't know the exact math, but the ladies behind the counter, the American Airlines, they saw that message too. And they go, "What? Wait, did this plane just get? It just got delayed." And they're looking at the time, and they're like, "Okay, we have just a few minutes window now. It's been reached that 40-minute window. We have just a few minutes that we can check your bags for that flight." And so the two of them, I had this box, and then I had a roll-on that I wanted to check both of them, and they each took one of the bags because they didn't want there to be any issues. So they each took one, and they simultaneously checked them in and got them going, and then sent me off. I have the TSA pre-check. I was able to get through security fairly quickly. And then, of course, I had to go all the way the length of the full, concourse. Isn't that always the way it is? My gate was at the far end. But I get down there, and there's this big mob of people waiting to get on the plane because it was going to be 3 more minutes before it even started boarding. Now, I cannot, even now, I'm feeling emotional. I cannot even begin to express the feelings that I had at that point, because I was certain that this whole thing had fallen apart because I had not thought about the size of the box. I had not considered that detail. And I thought the whole thing was ruined. And then, standing there, when all hope was gone, when I could not see how is this going to work out, my bestie is there channeling my mom, saying, "It's okay, Paul. It's going to work out. It's going to work out." How? I don't know. Somehow it's going to work out. And it did. I think my guardian angel deserves overtime pay. No. I don't want to say that. I don't want to give the impression that I think God delayed the plane for me. First of all, because I know that's not the case. I know that the reason it turns out that there was the delay was because the plane coming in got in a little later than expected, and it took longer for them to get everybody off the plane and get it flipped to be able to get it ready to go. And so that was why there was the half-hour delay. It had nothing to do with me. It had nothing to do with God saying, just hold on. And I wouldn't want that to be the case either, because when we landed in Dallas, because it was a connecting flight, we landed in Dallas, there were a lot of people on that plane that were freaking out and panicked because they had originally about an hour or less of a layover, and they now had to scramble to get to their connecting flight. Because you see, here's the little secret. If you don't travel a lot, they say, the reservation things will say, this is when you land and you have a layover of an hour, because this is what time your next flight takes off. Well, but that's not the number you want to look at. The number you want to look at is when do they start boarding. See, takes off means that's when they're pulling away from the gate. You're not getting on the plane at that time. They're not letting you on. You got to be there a good half hour before that time. Maybe more, maybe less, but generally half an hour is a good rule of thumb. So you got to be there at that time. That's when they're going to start boarding your plane. And so if you've got an hour or less of a layover, and we now chop half an hour out because the first plane is delayed, that means when you land, your other plane may already be boarding. And if you're in a different terminal in a large airport like that, yeah, you're scrambling. I've done that. I've had that happen before, and it's not fun. And so I don't want to give the impression that God made all those people's lives miserable just so I could get my box here to Alachua. I don't believe that's what happened. But what I do believe happened is that Paul got a little bit of a lesson, a reality check of being able to say, don't give up. Even when things look bleak, even when there are problems, even when it seems like there is no possible way that this could work out, never, ever give up hope. Never stop trying to think of how this could go. Never stop looking for the opportunity. Never stop being aware of everything going on around and how that could impact what you're needing to do. Because in this particular case, that was my saving grace. The fact that there were other things going on that I had no control over, I had no influence over, but those other things saved my butt. Allowed this box to get on the plane and get there. And because it's here, all this stuff is here now too. See, this is the big thing that was in there. It's a rocking horse shaped like a flamingo. And then there's a whole bunch of stuff in that bag over there for Ellie, stuff in here for Josh, got stuff back in that bag for Ashley. So all of this stuff is here, and we're going to have a great and festive time today. But I can't post this until after the party stuff is done because, But still, I am today, now yesterday morning, when I was standing there at that counter, I was feeling dejected and hopeless and beaten down. Today, I am so filled with joy and excitement and happiness because I'm here, these things are here, and I get to go celebrate my granddaughter's first birthday without any worry, without any issue. Because it worked out, Paul. So, with that, I'll see y'all next time from my front porch.